Miami hasn't exactly been showcasing a lot of great wide receivers on the current squad. They do have a couple of very nice players committed for 2023. Like we're big fans of Ray Joseph and Robby
Sure.
Washington, but I know Miami wants more. Okay, and they've recently missed out, at least in the verbal commits. They've missed out on Hykeem Williams. They've missed out on Tyler Williams. And then I also see a lot of great receivers from the area leaving the state, right? You talk about guys like Carnell Tate and Brandon Inniss going to Ohio State, Jaylen Brown committing to LSU. I know that there's just too many good players down here to keep everybody local, but I do always get kind of sad when you see so many great local players leaving the state. So, Blue, how do you think Miami's going to end up finishing this class in terms of receivers? And can Mario get it to where these guys aren't so anxious to go up to Big Ten and SEC schools?
Well, that's a good point you make, but it's really tough too, because I always look back in the day where Miami was ruling college football in the 80s and the 90s and part of the early 2000s. And you still lost Steve Hutchinson. You still lost Derek Thomas, and you lost Marvin Jones, and you lost so many quality football players. But at the same time, Miami always recruited well out of the state. And certainly you don't want to see them whiff on, you bring up Carnell Tate, who's not from here. He plays at IMG, so it kind of makes him,
that's right. Yeah,
kind of makes him a Bradenton guy,
yeah.
which I don't understand. But to me, the biggest target had to be Brandon Inniss, because here's a guy, I watched him over the weekend against Cardinal Gibbons, and you say to yourself, this is a dude that obviously goes to Ohio State, and he's going to, obviously be in the mix, but they have Marvin Harrison's son, and they've got, Carnell Tate, and they've got a few other kids, and they've got two guys who I hear are going to transfer through the portal over that are they're going to be junior wide receivers. If I'm him, I take a step back and say, listen, look at Miami right now. Look at their need is. I can come in and I could be the dude right away. There's no question. Miami doesn't have a guy remotely like him. Not even close. And that's why I'm saying the main thing is when you look at a Robby Washington and you look at a Ray Joseph and you say, is Miami going to be better with them? Yes. Same thing with Brandon Inniss. So you could recruit a bunch of guys, whoever it is, and say that one question I always ask, is he better than what Miami has now? And to me, I would pull out all the stops. I understand that, that Brian Hartline came down and has been showing, Brandon and Mark Fletcher a lot of love, and rightfully so, because they're two Florida coveted kids. But I think at the same time, Miami can provide more instantaneous rewards for a Brandon Inniss right now, because he's a guy, he's the dude. Catches the ball, he can accelerate. To me, and I'm not taking any shots at the Williams guys. Hykeem Williams has not shown me anything that he can play at a Power 5 level right now. So he's got a lot of learning to do. He's a basketball guy that's been, that has the size and passes the look test. Williams from Lakeland, same thing. He's good, but is he great? Is he, obviously they're both maybe better than what Miami has now, but I think that your target right now should be on Brandon Inniss. You do anything you can in the world to try to get him to flip and for him to see. And to me, being a hometown guy, and I know his mom real well, and I'm sure she would much rather be, driving down to Coral Gables than going to Columbus every weekend. And that to me is important. And I think he, as a student athlete, he benefits by being Miami, and you become another dude when you go to Ohio State. You come here and you're a star attraction. And that to me, I think as a young athlete, and it's not like you're asking them to go to Utah State. Miami's an established program, that, Miami, the city of Miami embraces winners. They've always done that. But, you got them. They got a few other guys that they have. I'm sure they'll hit the portal pretty hard, to try to get a kid who might be disgruntled at Oregon or wherever, Wisconsin, now that they've made a change with Paul Chryst. They've got a couple of kids up there as well. But I think you got to start understanding that the NIL is really starting to dictate the way college football is. And if you could come up with a better package than the other team, and plus provide sunshine 365 days a year and an opportunity to be with the people that you grew up with. I think that's quite a lure, and especially a coaching staff that what they have. So to answer your question, there's a lot of receivers out there and they're targeting, and obviously, whoever shows up is nice, but I would make Brandon a major priority in this class.